In March 2026, Finland shocked Europe and much of the world with a bold and unexpected announcement. The Finnish government revealed plans to amend its Nuclear Energy Act of 1987, a law that, for nearly 4 decades, had strictly prohibited nuclear weapons from being present on Finnish territory. Under the proposed changes, nuclear arms could now be transported across Finland or even stationed within its borders. This marks a dramatic departure for a country that, until recently, was known for its policy of military non-alignment and careful neutrality during the Cold War. The move is closely linked to Finland's recent accession to NATO and comes amid rapidly escalating tensions with neighboring Russia, whose border with Finland stretches over 830 miles. Finnish leaders argue that aligning their laws with NATO standards is essential for national security and for fulfilling alliance commitments. However, critics warn that such a step could provoke Moscow and increase the risk of confrontation along one of Europe's most sensitive frontiers. The debate inside Finland is intense and emotional. Supporters see the amendment as a necessary shield in uncertain times, while opponents fear it could make Finland a target and undermine decades of peace. As the world watches closely, Finland's decision is set to reshape the security landscape of Northern Europe, raising urgent questions about the future of NATO-Russia relations and the delicate balance of power in the region. For decades after World War II, Finland's policy of neutrality, known as Finlandization, kept it out of great power conflicts, allowing the country to maintain its independence while carefully navigating the tense relationship between the West and the Soviet Union. This delicate balancing act shaped Finland's foreign policy for generations, as leaders sought to avoid provoking Moscow while still preserving democratic values and Western economic ties. Finland invested in robust defense capabilities, yet maintained pragmatic diplomatic and economic ties to Moscow, walking a tightrope that defined its international identity. That all changed overnight in February 2022, when Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent shockwaves through Finnish society and shattered long-standing trust in neutrality as a safeguard. Public support for NATO soared to unprecedented levels, with citizens and politicians alike rethinking Finland's place in a rapidly changing Europe. By 2023, Finland became the alliance's 31st member, officially ending its era of non-alignment and signaling a dramatic shift in its security posture. Integration was swift. Finland signed a major defense pact with the U.S., granting American forces access to 15 Finnish military bases, further deepening its Western ties. Russia responded with hostility, suspending visa-free travel and issuing stern warnings about the consequences of Finland's new alliances. Tensions escalated further as Finland accused Russia of fueling a migrant crisis at the border, straining humanitarian resources and heightening security concerns. The once cooperative relationship has collapsed, leaving Finland facing a hardened, heavily fortified frontier with its powerful neighbor to the east. Against this tense backdrop, Finland is now poised to lift its decades-old nuclear ban, a move that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago, but now seems necessary for national security. The stakes for Finnish security and regional stability have never been higher, as the nation adapts to a new era of uncertainty and heightened risk on Europe's northern frontier. The proposed amendment is set to reshape Finland's Nuclear Energy Act, a cornerstone of the country's defense policy for decades. Since the 1980s, this law has strictly banned nuclear weapons from Finnish soil, reflecting the nation's long-standing commitment to non-nuclear principles and neutrality during the Cold War era. But now, as a NATO member, the government argues that this legal barrier could limit Finland's ability to fully participate in the alliance's nuclear deterrence strategy, which is a key part of NATO's collective defense. Leaders emphasize that the amendment isn't about immediately bringing nuclear arms into Finland, but about aligning with NATO's flexible nuclear posture, similar to Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, which have no legislative bans and can adapt if security needs change. By removing this restriction, Finland and NATO gain more strategic options in a crisis, especially given Finland's long border with Russia. It signals that all alliance capabilities, including nuclear deterrence, could be considered to defend Finnish territory if the situation demands. Officials are clear. There are no current plans to station nuclear weapons in Finland. This move is about legal readiness and future-proofing defense policy, not about imminent deployment or escalation. The shift moves Finland from a position of never to not now, but if needed. A subtle yet profound change in national defense philosophy, reflecting a new era of security thinking. Ultimately, it's a clear message to allies and adversaries alike. Finland intends to be a fully capable, equal NATO member, ready to defend itself and contribute to the alliance's collective security. Russia's reaction was immediate and severe. The Kremlin condemned Finland's move as a dangerous escalation, warning it would worsen, not improve, Finland's security. Spokesman Dmitry Peskov threatened appropriate measures, hinting at military and economic retaliation. Russia may increase troop and missile deployments near the Finnish border, raising the specter of a more militarized frontier. Moscow's message is clear. Finland's integration into NATO's nuclear planning is seen as a direct threat. The Kremlin hopes to sow doubt within Finland and NATO, emphasizing the risks of this policy shift. For Russia, this is not just about Finland. It's about pushing back against NATO's presence on its doorstep. The stakes for regional stability have risen sharply. In Finland's eastern border regions, the fallout is deeply personal. Once thriving communities built on cross-border trade and tourism now face economic hardship as the border with Russia remains closed. Businesses have lost Russian customers, and layoffs are mounting in logistics and customs. The prospect of nuclear weapons and Russia's threats adds anxiety for locals who now live on a potential front line. Further Russian restrictions could deepen isolation, while new Finnish border controls make separation feel permanent. For these communities, grand geopolitical decisions have turned daily life into a tense waiting game. Within NATO, Finland's move is largely welcomed as a sign of unity and commitment to collective defense. Major allies see it as strengthening the alliance's credibility, especially along the long Finnish-Russian border. France and Germany have recently called for deeper European nuclear cooperation, and Finland's shift fits this trend. Yet, Western media warn of increased risks and the potential for escalation. The introduction of a nuclear element to a previously non-nuclear region raises the stakes for all. Allies will watch closely for Russia's response, ready to show solidarity. Finland's sovereign choice now carries alliance-wide implications. Amending the Nuclear Energy Act marks a historic turning point for Finland. The country has moved from neutrality to the front lines of NATO, betting that deeper integration will deter aggression. The government hopes this will strengthen its security guarantee and eliminate any ambiguity about its commitment. But Russia's harsh response signals real risks: a more militarized border, cyber threats, and economic pressure. Finland may find itself at the center of a new Cold War, with its eastern regions most exposed. The coming years will test NATO's unity and reshape Northern Europe's security landscape. For Finland, the era of neutrality is over, replaced by the complex realities of being a frontline state.